Alright, I'll have to apologize about the clutter here, but Hurricane Laura is barreling in, so I had to throw everything into my garage. Anyway, I'll make this a quick, relevant review with the important stuff you need to know about this saw. First of all, I've been building furniture and pedal boards, so that's what I use my table saw for. I tend to buy wood rough cut and prefer to buy it in 5/4 or 6/4 sizes most of the time, so I do a lot of milling at the start of each project. The reason I bought this table saw was out of necessity, to replace this crappy rigid R4520, which basically died on me within 2 weeks of buying it. In fact, I'll have to post another review for that table saw because the way it failed was not only a terminal failure for the product, but potentially a very dangerous failure. Well, as opposed to the cast iron top of the rigid R4520, this has a molded plastic top of some sort. Before the rigid, I had a DeWalt Jobsite saw similar to this one, but smaller. This saw costs about $1,400, so it's definitely not a cheap saw. The basic rundown of this saw? Well, it's mostly good and some bad. I don't want to criticize this saw too much because I think it's a great saw overall. So I'll tell you what's great about the saw first. The saw has a good sized table. It comes with a good quality 40-tooth blade. The DeWalt Jobsite saw I had came with a 24-tooth blade, which did well enough for ripping but tore out quite a bit, so I eventually replaced it with a 40-tooth blade. The saw cuts great, accurate cuts. It doesn't lack power. I love the fence. It takes a bit of a setup and a little nuance to it, but after that it works beautifully. It came from the factory almost at a perfect 90 degrees, so the only adjustment needed was the tension. Here's a useful tip from Sawstop. If you pull the fence towards you a little when locking it, it will lock at the correct angle, because if you move the fence and push the lock, it sometimes moves a bit up or to the side, just a bit of technique, and it works great. One great thing about the saw is that it raises and lowers the blade with a single turn of the handle. It also has a fine-tuning adjustment for the angle, so it's really easy to set up for making a variety of cuts. If you have any concerns about being able to raise and lower the blade accurately, it's no problem, because the handle has a round base that's designed to grip with your fingers. Turning it that way allows you to adjust the height a little more carefully. The onboard storage is great too, but it's not without caveats. Overall, this saw cuts beautifully, the fence is great, and it has a good-sized table, and it's portable. Now for the not-so-good. First, something that really irritated me about this $1,400 saw is the crappy little miter bar that comes with it. I thought it was a joke when I first saw it. The darn thing is made of plastic. It's kind of small too. It really does look like some cheap foreign-made miter bar that would come with the kid's saw or something. For a $1,400 table saw, this pitiful little miter bar really sucks. Moreover, it does fit into the convenient onboard storage, but unfortunately, the onboard storage only fits this little miter bar. This would obviously be the first upgrade you do on this saw, so that should have been considered in its design. I'm really disappointed with this crappy miter bar. Now, a more serious issue for me was the tabletop. I found that it was not perfectly flat. You could probably fit a few sheets of paper under a straight edge all the way down the center of the top. Even worse, the extension wing is a bit convex, and you can feel it when you run your fingers across the edges of the table and the extension wing. This is something you cannot correct except by the factory. It's extremely disappointing that such an expensive saw with the Sawstop name is not more precise. However, it could be that the flatness is within a normal tolerance, and I don't know how much it would affect the precision of parts needed for furniture. Nevertheless, this is the main reason I returned this saw and exchanged it for the contractor model. Design-wise, there are a couple of things that should be improved. First, the extension wing only locks when it's fully closed or fully extended. You cannot lock the wing at a shorter point. Kind of cool, but odd. The fence has a little 1-inch extension underneath. It's apparently for providing some support for the gap when you extend the wing. It's sturdy enough and useful for ripping plywood or something, but they should have included some kind of snap-in plate to cover the whole gap. Another odd thing about the design of the saw are the handles. If you want to pick it up by the handles, you have to bend down and grab them. It's awkward, especially since the handles are not on the side where you'd want to roll it. There are two extrusions of the mobile base oriented upward like handles, but apparently aren't handles, but they're much more useful and should have been the handles. When you need to move it around a job site, it's much more practical just to use these to roll it around than the actual handles. I don't really understand this design, but it's not a big deal because it does have these two extrusions here, which make it just fine to carry around. Lastly, this saw is loud. It's louder than the DeWalt Jobsite saw I had, much louder than the Rigid R4520. You should definitely wear some hearing protection when using it. It doesn't really bother me that much. It's not really criticism, because I love the way this saw cuts, but it's considerably louder than my last two saws, so that's something could be notable. Well, that's it for my review. Be sure to check back for my review on the Sawstop Contractor saw. Please remember to give this video a like and click subscribe. Thanks for watching.